to see people here. And oh, there's Subidit. Now there's a guy I know. Yeah, let's start with a bit of a an introduction on how we all came to be here and what we're planning to do here. So my name is Alexander. You can all call me Alex. I prefer Alex. And I've been doing Code and Place for 3 years. So the first one was in 21, I think. Then it was 22, and the last one was this year in 24. And I've been like section leader 3 times. And this time I've had Vicky in my group, and Vicky, who is my one of most outspoken students in my group, closer to the end of the 6 weeks, said, "How about we continue doing this?" Because Vicky, guys, I can hear someone in the someone on the mic. Can you check that your mics are off? Thank you. And Vicky proposed, I mean, this is only the first part of the course. How about we try ourselves to go through the second part of the course, because there are some materials on the site, and we'll probably, manage to figure it all out. So that was the initial idea. And then Code and Place released some of their lessons, which you've probably already seen. There are at least 3 topics which are accessible right now. And guys, I can still hear you. There's probably a button here. I will press mute all. There we go. So now, will you be able to unmute if you want to?
Oh, yeah, I just unmuted.
Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, you can unmute. Excellent. So let me briefly go through some logistics, because this is important before we actually tackle something. Can you see my screen?
Whoops. Shoot.
Yes.
Can you see? Okay, excellent. So this is a slide that Vicky put together on the important things which we need to consider. Like I said, we are very thrilled to see you here. It's nice to see people who want to continue learning, not just because you want to get a certificate or something, but because you want to learn. And let me immediately stress this out. This meetup is not in any way affiliated or sponsored by Stanford University. They were kind enough to sort of give us the go-ahead. If you want to do it, guys, do it, but that's all. There will be no grade, there will be no certificate, we will not be taking attendance, so this is learning just for the pure fun of it. We will be doing this on Friday at this time. I will give you a week's advance notice whether I will be able to do it like on a specific Friday or not. So for instance, we will be doing it next Friday, but I will not be available the Friday after that. So we will have to skip a week because I have some previous engagements. And as you maybe noticed, Vicky turned on the recording for this Zoom session. We will record them to maybe pass it to someone who is not able to attend. Please be aware of this. This is recorded. If you do not want your video to be recorded, be sure to turn off your camera. And in terms of the structure of how we wanted to do this, we wanted to make this as close to sections in Code and Place as possible, which means that we encourage you to actually watch lectures and attempt to solve the problems in advance, because I'm not going to go through the theory like in a video. So the idea is that you try doing things yourself. If you have issues, if you have questions, you prepare them, you write them down. You come to this meetup, you ask them. I will try to answer as many as possible. I'm not limited to just 1 hour. I can stay here a bit longer, probably not more than 2 hours, because after that, it's 1 a.m. here and I'm all sleepy. But I mean, I'm willing to spend some time answering questions. And if you have questions, I think the best way to ask them is either through the chat, or you could press the raise hand button so that I will see in the list of people who has a question, and I sort of will ask you to ask the question via voice, just in order to avoid any chaos. And basic things, be considerate of each other, be kind, be helpful, but I think that goes without saying. And I think these are the main things that we wanted to discuss in terms of logistics. But there is one more thing that I wanted to discuss with you and even ask for your opinion, and that is the question of how you want to communicate outside of this meetup, because we have several options. One of the options is to continue using the Code in Place forums, and we can either do this through the main forum, but the main problem with the main forum is that it's very easy sort of to get lost in there, because there are usually many questions. And I know now Code in Place is over, so it's probably not it's not going to be as bad as it was during Code in Place, but still, it's a place where people talk and ask questions, etc. The second option was to actually move all people who want this to be done to my section, but then you would lose access to your section. So if it's important for you to stay in contact with your previous section leader, then that would not be a good idea, because you would either lose that person to come into my section, or you won't be able. It's not possible to merge multiple sections. Another way is doing it through WhatsApp. I don't know how familiar people are general with WhatsApp. For me, like, it's a messenger that I use daily, but I'm not sure that it's it's well known and popular, but it's still one of the options. So basically what we wanted to do is launch a poll and to give you an opportunity to vote and see whether, first of all, you want to be moved to a different section or not. And second of all, how you would prefer to communicate outside of this meetup, in case you have any questions you want, you want an answer on Saturday, and it's 6 days until next Friday, and you're sort of going like, I can't wait until next Friday, I need an answer now. So let me try opening the poll. Oh, did you, Vicky, did you already open it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So there are two questions that should appear on your screen. If you just select what your preferences to those two questions, that would be very helpful. Also, if you guys decide to move sections, I double checked with SIP. This is a one-way move, okay? And so there's no going back. Like, once you've moved out of your old section, they cannot move you back. And so it kind of depends on like how much you love your old section, and then want to stay in that section. And so we're not going to move people unless you ask to be moved, okay? And so if you want to move to Alex's section, you can email me. I think everyone has my email. Or you could also like send me a connect message. And so if I don't hear from you, I'm just gonna assume you're happy where you are. Thank you. Okay. So hopefully everybody had a chance to vote.
Well, about half of the people. So I see like 20 people answered the poll. Well, I see that about 2/3 of the people actually want to be moved. So how do we do this, Vicky? Do we like
Well,
do we
okay,
like
for the people that want to be moved, okay, why don't you send me outside of this hour, why don't you send me an email? Because unless you didn't provide me an email, I should have emailed you back. And then I'll put in my email in the chat. And so if you want to be moved, just send an email to me here, and then I will ask SIP to move you.
Yeah,
But
so
again,
Vicky just sent.
um this is a unilateral move, okay? Once you move, you can't be unmoved. Okay, somebody asked a question, would SIP allow us to create another group similar to our final project groups? So I did ask about that. I don't know why that is not possible, but what I was told is yes, they can create another group, but every single student can only be in one group, which means creating another group doesn't really help because you would still need to be moved from your current section into that section. They can't have anyone like in two sections. I think that's just a limitation of the platform. That was the first thing I asked. And then I was specifically told they didn't have the capability to do that. So, you know, if you want easy access to Alex, move into his section. Otherwise, you know, I think he offered WhatsApp as an alternative. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I see that
I think
actually.
everybody has voted.
Yeah, well, most people. I think we are maybe the two people that didn't vote. So yeah, we got the votes.
Well, I've already told SIP I don't want to be moved because I would lose all of the notes, and then that
Sure.
would be disastrous.
So then from what you answered, I see that moving people to my section is an option we definitely need to look into. So once again, if you want to be moved to my section, send Vicky an email at the email address that she posted in the chat with your express agreement, saying that yes, I want to be moved, because if you do not, then by default we think that you do not want to be moved, and we will not move you. We will not move you by default. With the second, it's really like 30% saying this, 30% saying that, and I would probably then, if we do the section move, then I would use the section forum for communication. That is probably we won't be able to make everyone happy. I mean, that's obvious. That's the drawback of democracy. Not everyone is happy after the votes are counted. So we'll just probably stick to the section forum, and those who do not want to be switched, I mean, we'll still meet on Fridays, and you'll be able to ask your questions then. Do we get email when you make a post as a section leader? I don't think so, Jake. No, I don't believe. I mean, there is an option to do that, but the thing is, I'm not gonna make any posts myself. The idea is that if you have any questions, you come to the forum, you ask questions, and I will answer them. At least that was the idea. Like I said, I'm not gonna be teaching you things from scratch. I'm not gonna be doing posts like here is here is the new theory, guys. The idea is that you will be learning, doing self-learning as previously. But if you then have any questions, I will be here to help you out either through the forum or through our meetups. So I think that should be enough for discussing logistics today. So the takeout from all of this is that, once again, do mail Vicky if you want to be moved to our group. And how much time should we give? Because I would think that the CIP people would want to do it only once with the entire
Correct.
list and not. So
Correct.
do we give people time until
Well,
next
you know,
Friday?
since Cameron is graduating this weekend, I am not going to bug him this weekend. I told
Sure,
him I
sure.
would send him a list of people probably like by Tuesday.
Okay.
And so he could probably do it anytime.
Okay, but I mean,
so-
the idea is to then give people time until end of Monday. Does that work?
Yeah.
Whoever sends an email by end of Monday will get into the list, which will be sent to CIP for the transfer. Okay, so now let's close this part. Let's close the presentation, and let's talk about the topic, which was like the first extra topic in the curriculum after the end of CIP, and the topic was animation. And so basically, animation is not like specifically a new topic in terms of programming. There is nothing specific about animation that makes it really a new topic in terms of coding. The idea with animation is the same as it's in cartoons. How does animation work? And I mean, like anything, like movies work the same. You have frames that change one after the other. So you renew frames on your screen, and each frame is a bit different from the previous one in the sense that you have some elements moving. And that's all there is to animation in programming, and specifically in Python as well. You have to make a way to change your screen contents in such a way that it seems as if something is moving. And there were two. Let me share my screen. There were two. Yeah. There were two sort of like optional, they're all optional now, problems that were offered to be solved. They're called Baby Snake and Follow Me. And I would actually start with Follow Me because, in my opinion, it's the simpler one. And let me just try to understand how prepared the group is. Can you put a plus in the chat if you managed to solve this problem, or give me a minus if you tried solving it and it did not work out for you? So you have issues, you have problems, we need to discuss this. Okay, so we have plus, 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 minus, plus, 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 plus. So I see we have mainly pluses. Eliza, I see you put a minus. Is that a minus because you just didn't do it, you didn't have the time to do it, or you tried doing it and you did not succeed? Because the difference is important in this situation. Louisa as well. I have no idea who iPhone is, but yeah, give me. Okay, you just didn't do it. All right. Louisa, what about you? Did you attempt it, or you simply didn't? Okay, you didn't do it as well. Okay, so then, yeah, didn't try. Okay. So it seems that those of you who wanted to try it, you succeeded, and it's actually a solution which is done in one line of code. Because initially, like what's the thought process here? You have your mouse, and the mouse moves across the canvas, and the idea is to draw a circle centered around the mouse. So how can we do this? We actually have a couple of methods, which is called getMouseX and getMouseY, which give you the coordinates of your cursor. So you already have the problem solved. You know where to draw a circle. But the issue is that your first idea would, for instance, be, you could say canvas, what is it? Create oval. Forgive me, I don't remember everything by heart, because graphics is not actually a basic Python library. Each and every time I have to sort of relearn it from scratch, because I don't use it in normal life. So we could do like create oval, and please remind me, is it giving us the center? Okay, the left and the top and the right and the bottom. Okay, so we have the ball diameter, which is 50. So we need to sort of subtract or add half of the diameter to get the coordinates. So for instance, here, if you have X, you would have, for left, you would need to do, this is going to be a bit long, but hey, the first one is going to be like this. And then the second one is going to be the other way around. We would have to add the diameter to the coordinate. The reason for this being that this is the center of the circle. So if you want to get the coordinates from the center, you need the radius, which is half of the diameter. So this is why I'm dividing the diameter by 2. And the same here. And if you do this, and we need the color blue, that would be blue. No, I don't want to check if it's correct. It's not. But then, hold on. Name X is not defined. No, my code is not right, obviously. Oh, it's mouse X, sorry. Mouse X. Mouse X, and here is mouse Y. And here's once again mouse X and mouse Y. I will be doing mistakes as I go along. It's completely normal. So you see, yeah, if I do it like this, then I get this circle everywhere I go, and it does not disappear. For the simple reason that each time, each cycle of the loop, each iteration of the loop, a new circle is drawn on the canvas. So now I have like thousands of those circles already. They filled up the entire canvas, but this is not actually what we need. And there are a couple of ways how we can prevent this. The first one, I could theoretically clear the screen each time I do the iteration. So for instance, here, I actually don't remember whether graphics has one to fill the background. Maybe not, but then I could do a rectangle, right? So I could do something like in this part, first do a canvas, create, is it rect? No, rectangle. From 0, 0 to canvas size, and color it white. And then, as you can see, it's working because during each iteration, I'm first filling the canvas with a white rectangle. So I'm drawing a huge rectangle, and then I'm drawing a circle on top of it. And then once again, I'm doing the white rectangle, drawing the circle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, circle. So this is one of the ways that this can be done. But there is an easier way. And the easier way is the following. when you create a rectangle, you can actually save it to a variable. You sort of create, not the rectangle, sorry, the oval, the circle. You could actually save it into a variable and create an object. So if we do this before we start the loop, let me copy this and place it here. So let's say I'm going to call it circle. And now I have this object saved here, with the only difference that I'm initially going to place it at 0, 0, and is it supposed? I think it's supposed to be actually ball diameter. Ball diameter. Oh, okay. I think I know where I'm doing something wrong. The reason why I'm mixing things up is because currently I'm using another library which is called Pygame, which deals with drawing like objects like circles and rectangles in a different way. So they are both fighting for space in my head. So here I draw the circle. Let's comment this one out for now. Let me stop, try running it again. And so here is my circle. Now I have a perfect circle, because before that it was some ugly oval. But it doesn't follow my my mouse. In order to follow my mouse, I can use another method which is called move to, and what it does, it takes an object as a parameter. In our case, that's our circle, and then it moves it to specific. I think it moves the x and y coordinate of the left, top left, to the coordinates which you give it. So, for instance, if I say here mouse x, mouse y, it would move the circle each time to these coordinates, with the only problem being that it will not be at the center. So as you can see, my mouse is right now pointing at the top left corner. So in order for me to make the circle at the center of the mouse, here I would need to subtract the half of the diameter. At least I hope that's the way it's supposed to be. Let me try doing this one more time. Yeah, there we go. So the only issue right now is that I still have the original circle here, and I'm right now moving. Why isn't it deleted? That's the, because okay, I already have it here. I'm doing it twice. I'm sorry. Let me remove this. I'm doing the same job twice. I do not need to be doing. There we go. Now, this is the way how you would do it in one line. So you just need to move your circle object to these two coordinates in order to get it. So let me quickly look at the chat. I'm sure some of you wrote, meaningful things in there that I didn't see, which would have helped me do this faster. But let me, it's already done at line 11. Yeah, the same. Okay, so I see everyone is saying like, Alex, it's already there. And I'm like, la, la, la. There is no raise hand option. Oh, really? No raise hand. That's unfortunate. I thought it was...
It's there. It's under a reaction button. If you don't have the reaction button, it might be because your Zoom is an older version of Zoom. It might not be there.
Okay, I see reactions for me. So yeah, here, I suppose I'm raising my hand now. Am I?
Oh.
Yes, and I can see you raising your hand as well. So yeah, that might be the case, but it took me some time to find it, yeah. Yeah, I see Min raising your hand. What does the double slash signify? Yes, it's integer division, so it will always return an integer as a result. So for instance, if you would integer divide 5 by 2, the result would be 2 and not 2.5, because you get rid of the floating point part of the decimal part. So the reason I'm doing it, because I want to have an integer for the coordinate, because I'm not really sure how the canvas works with floating point numbers. So I do not want to experiment. I would rather have a very specific integer number. And yes, Svetlana, we do already have the variable ball. I found that out, the hard way, but yeah. So that's the story with Follow Me, which, like I said, seems to be like a pretty simple solution. So if you have any questions for this one, feel free to write them in the chat, or if you have trouble raising your hand, just turn on your microphone and ask with your voice before we go to the other problem, which is a bit more interesting, more involved. So any questions, any comments, let me know. And I should be reading the chat more often, because obviously you gave me helpful advice that I missed. Okay, so it seems it was, to most of you, as far as I understand, it was clear from the beginning. So now let's talk about Baby Snake. And okay, so I see, don't you want to prevent ball from going out of bounds? We could do that. Then the question would become, what do we actually do if the mouse is too close? We could do, for instance, we could check if the mouse X and mouse Y is either smaller than the size of the ball or larger than the canvas size minus the size of the ball. And in that case, we would still keep the ball at the either 0, 0 coordinate, or the canvas size minus the ball diameter coordinate. We could have done that, but since this was not in any way written in the instructions, I really didn't bother with it. So I can't say that I wanted it, Nate. No, it did not bother me really that much. So let's then take a look at Baby Snake. And my question to you guys, once again, give me a plus in the chat if you managed to do Baby Snake, and give me a minus if you tried it and it did not work out, if you had issues. And also if you, or like Chiara, just right, didn't try if you didn't try, so it would give me an understanding. Yeah, Vicky, I know that you stayed up almost all night, but you did get it, so good job. Okay, Eliza, I see you're saying that you're stuck on milestone 4. No idea how to start. Okay, we'll go through it. Only 2 milestones. Okay, got stuck in milestone 5. Haven't tried yet. Didn't try. Well, I would actually maybe try doing this together and see, what you think, what your thought process is, and just try to do it together. So
Alex, can we unmute and talk?
Sure, of course. Because like I said, if there are issues with raising hands, and there is only like 30 people here, I don't, because we thought we had like 80 people sign up and we thought it's gonna be hell. But I think with 30 people, it's not gonna be a problem. So feel free to chime in with your voice, because it's a bit more difficult for me to see the chat at the same time as I share my screen. So this is a simplified version of Snake, obviously, because the snake is only 1 pixel large, it does not grow, etc., etc. And the first milestone that we need to do is create, I believe, create the 2 pixels. The blue one is going to be the snake, the player, and the reddish one, pinkish one is going to be the goal, aka the apple or whatever the snake is eating. And we know that the size is 20 by 20 because we have a constant for that. So in our main function, we've created the canvas. So can someone help me out here? You can either type it out in the chat or give it to me, via voice. How do we create? Let's start with the player pixel. What do we write?
You just want to draw 2 rectangles.
That's true, but I mean in terms of code.
Oh, code. You want to use the canvas.create rectangle.
Okay, good enough. So we do canvas create rectangle. Yep. And what are the arguments?
So I'm going to give you the blue one. The blue one is the player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone typed it in the chat. That's
okay. Yeah, I see that Svetlana already typed it in. So first of all, we want to save it into a variable, so we actually have the object with which to work. And the top left coordinates are 0, 0. Absolutely correct. And the bottom right are size. So it's important here to use the constant and not just write 2020, because if we want to change the size, this will work. And the color blue. Supposedly it's blue. Okay, we have that. So what do we do with the goal? I mean, it's obviously going to be the same method, so I'm not going to ask for that one. What are the coordinates that we are going to write here?
So Alex, with the thought.
Sorry?
I just have a thought right here.
Sure.
Okay. So there's a choice point right at the beginning. Okay. We can do what we're doing, but another way to potentially have more control later on is, rather than writing the player and goal right into the main function right there, is to call 2 separate functions, one for the player and one for the goal, with appropriate parameters that are sent to those separate functions. So just saying, that's what I did. Don't know if that's any better, but that's a choice point.
So basically, to understand correctly, what you're saying is that you created a separate function which took in these parameters and returned the object which was created.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like your thought process in the sense that you are trying to sort of think of how to break the code into, sub-functions. My only question here is, how is your subfunction different from this method? So does it add anything extra on top of this method?
It does, in terms of what happens later on, because as we go further on, I have another argument in the helper function.
Yeah.
And also in calling the function called points, because I determine whether or not the snake has hit the goal or not. And then there'll be a choice point later on when points changes about what shows for the player and what shows for the goal.
Mm.
You know what? I think I maybe should shut up right now, and at some point later on, maybe I'm happy to share like where I got stuck and what I did. So why don't I just let you go forward?
Okay, because I would be interested to see. I can't say that I understood from your verbal explanation. It would have been, of course, better to see the code to understand, but it would be interesting to see what extra parameters you sent to that function, so that it's more helpful. So for goal, need to assign GS6 y, x, y. Okay, so start and end x, y. Yeah. So in our case, we're given a very, for now, we're giving a very specific one. So in our case, it would be sort of 360, 360, and then we need to add. So it's 160 plus size, 360 by size. Obviously, this is not a very, not very good hard coding numbers, but like we're doing the first one, or like Chiara is saying, we could actually, now instead of 400, we would then use the canvas width and canvas height. And then I actually like this one. Let's try doing this one. So the first one would be canvas width minus size multiplied by 2. And here we could have, for instance, canvas height, also, sorry, minus size multiplied by 2. And then if we were to change the size of the canvas, we would still have this goal in the close to the bottom right corner. And sure, we will use we will of course use variables here later. So let's see, we have the blue one, and here I think I forgot to do the color. No, forgot to do something else. Canvas width. So this is the X, this is the height. I'm trying to figure out why it's not
They're the same.
Sorry?
Both X's and Y's are 360.
X's and Y's are 360.
Yeah, the top left corner is 360, 360,
Right,
and the bottom right is 400
okay,
minus 40.
Yes, thank you. It's almost 12 here, so I am a bit slow at the moment. So you would need to have this. So no, the other way around. You would need to have this, and then you would need to have this, I guess.
Right.
Okay, there we go. Figured it out. Thank you for your help. So who's teaching whom? So we're basically done with the first milestone. We have our two objects on the screen. So now we need to do the animation, and here we already need to do a loop. In order to do a loop, let's do for now, let's do a while true. This is after we create the canvas. And now we can place this outside the loop as well. And so that we will be doing inside the loop is move the player to the right and add a pause. So here we have delay 0.1 second. So can someone help me out here? What are the two lines that we need to write to make this blue square move to the right?
So move to, and the first argument we have to give the player.
Okay, so it's canvas. We need to do this with canvas move to.
Dot move to.
We're moving the player, that's correct.
Yeah, and the either way we can give 1 0 something so that it's moving by one.
Okay. So
new maybe.
So how do we actually if you want to do move 2, how are you actually going to get the coordinates?
New coordinates, like around like 360, which is a new coordinates, like so in that direction it's gonna move.
But if we want to move it by 20, we need to understand its current coordinates. So because here, if you do move 2, you need to give a very specific coordinate to where you want to move. And this specific coordinate is connected to the sort of previous, to the current coordinate.
We can use the move function instead of move 2, and then we can
Yes.
move it by 1 0,
Yes.
something like, yeah, we can do.
Yeah, I think this is in this specific case. This is we instead of move 2, we can use move, because with move you give the difference. So how much it has to move right or left and up and down. So let's do move. And what are going to be the
Can we
second and
give
third?
1 0 something?
Well, how much does it have to move?
One, what do you say?
Yeah, because like after one movement, it has to be here. So what's the size of this move? Yeah, exactly. Its size. We need to take well, I mean, 20 would be, Chiara, it's the correct answer, but it's incorrect in terms of not using the constant. We need to use the constant size, and for this is for x, and for y it's going to be 0 because we're not moving vertically. So yes, and I see. Hold on one second. Oh, Mauricio, hi. I just saw you read your message in the chat, and yeah, I'm sorry to hear about your father-in-law. Of course, you join us next time when you have the time. All the best wishes to your father-in-law. So yeah, and a big hug to you as well. So let's see if we run it at the moment, we will not even see anything.
We have to give the delay condition.
Okay. How do I do the delay condition?
I forgot the.
Does anyone remember how can we do a pause? Yes, so we have time, not timer, it's time. The name of the module is time, and time has a function which is called sleep, and it takes the number of seconds we want the program to pause. In our case, it's delay. It's another constant. So there we go. I think we're quite done with milestone number 2. And by the way, it's continuing moving. It went past the canvas and it's now somewhere outside. But that shouldn't bother us. Let's take a look at the third one. So the third one for us is handle key presses. And to handle key presses, you use this method, which is called canvas get last key press. So it constantly checks whether any keyboard key was pressed, and it stores the value of the last key pressed. So in our case, the idea is that so yeah, I think the idea here is that we create variables which store the current direction of travel, and we could actually have 2 variables, or we could have a list of 2 values, which the first one will store the horizontal direction, and it will either be 1 or -1, 1 for going right and -1 for going left. And the same would be with the vertical direction. It would be 1 for going down, like increasing in number, and -1 going up, decreasing in the y coordinate. So let's create this variable before the loop. So the initial state will be since it's moving horizontally to the right, it will be 1, and it's not moving vertically, it's going to be 0. And now here, if we take this, it's already written, so I'm just gonna copy paste it. So we get the last key press, and now here we have like the entirety of the code, which we would need to see which key is pressed. We just need to fix like these. Let me do all the indents correctly. Like this, and then the last one. So what do we need to write here when we, for instance, press the left button or the right button or the up button or the down button? What's going to change once one of these buttons is pressed?
Your direction.
Yes. We would need to change the direction, create a new direction, which would actually correspond with the button press. So if we have
arrow left, is it like this
Sorry, I didn't hear you. If arrow left.
Sorry.
So tell me, I mean, what are the two values going to be when we're pressing left?
Alex, could I make a suggestion here that would make it simpler, or?
Sure.
Okay, so rather than defining direction as a list, okay, why don't you define a variable outside of the while loop called current direction equals right. And then going into the loop, for every one of the key presses, you have a current direction variable, and it can be a string called right, left, up, or down. So you therefore get out of the complexity of having to track the ones and the zeros in all of the list.
The reason why I want to do the ones and the zeros, though I understand your logic and there is logic behind your logic, the reason why I propose to do the numbers here is that when you, here in the move, when you actually decide which way it's going to move, these numbers are going to be multipliers for your movement. And because if you do, you know, direction as strings like left, right, up, and down, then you would probably, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you have another solution, but from what I understand, you would actually have another list of if-else statements which would do different moves. Is that the way you do it?
Yeah, you don't need if-else. You just need if the current direction equals right, then you change the top X velocity. Yeah. Okay? If the current direction is left, you do it another way. So it's only 4 if statements. It's pretty simple.
Right, but here I would like to try doing this, because I actually think this is simpler once you get your head wrapped around it. Okay. Let's try looking at it like this, though I do understand your idea, and I think it's a sound idea. It's simpler in terms of sort of reading it and understanding it, I would say. But let me try this one as well, so that you understand the logic.
Got it.
So one more time, if the first value of the list is for moving horizontally and the second one is for moving vertically, and positive numbers mean moving, you know, right and down, and negative numbers mean moving left and up. If we do for left, okay, Luisa, I see. It would be, yes, and Eliza, you're also writing, it would be a negative value, because we are moving towards 0 on the x-axis. So it would be -1, 0. And with right, we already know, because here we're moving right. So in this case, it would be simply 1, 0. So if we're moving up, what would the direction be? Which one would I put here?
That would be 0 - 1.
0 minus 1 exactly, because we're not moving horizontally and we're moving towards 0 vertically. And quite logically, here we would have 0, 1, because 1 means we're moving vertically down. The first 0 means, once again, we're not moving horizontally. And the reason why I wanted to try this, because now when we have the canvas move here, we still keep, obviously, the player. The only thing, what do we need? Any guesses from you? What do we do here in order for the object to move in the direction that we need it to move?
You have to.
Well, you'll have to have something, you identify the object, which you've already done. And then you've got to somehow you've got to use your list for the ones and the zeros, or the minus ones and the whatever, for the top X and top Y.
Well, I mean, if you look at what Svetlana is writing, Svetlana is saying, can't we use plus size or minus size? Because how would otherwise Canvas know these directions? And your idea is absolutely correct. We could have used size here, I suppose. It's probably I mean, every programmer has his way of doing things, and there is no one correct way. I mean, there are thousands of different ways to do things. Programming is as much art as it's a science. But the idea is that I have is very similar, Svetlana, to what you're writing. What I'm thinking, for instance, if I take size and multiply it by this number, so I would say by direction 0. If direction 0 is 0, then I would not be moving horizontally. It will not change. However, if it's 1, I will move in the positive direction by size. If it's minus 1, I would move in the negative direction by size. Yes, exactly, Luisa, it's size multiplied by direction. And the same one would be here. It's only going to be direction 1. And this is the only line that we need. So this is why I wanted to show you this. We do not need to have another list of ifs to write, a method for each one. We just need one. Let's see if it works, though. I can't be certain. Well, it seems to be working for all four directions. Of course, it does not eat the food yet, but as you can see, it moves wherever you can see me pressing the buttons, but trust me, if I press up, it goes up. If I press down, it goes down, etc. Of course, it will go behind the boundaries at the moment because we have not set those boundaries. And there is no inherent error in going outside the canvas. I mean, you can go outside the canvas, it will not generate an error. But we are, I think, done here with milestone 3. So we have managed to handle the key press, and our snake, baby snake, moves according to what we're asking it to do.
Alex, can I ask a quick question
Sure.
for milestone 3? Over there, you had 4 if statements, right?
Yeah.
Why would you use 4? Why would you use 4 if statement and not like an if and then elif? Because I tried both ways, I got the same result, so I didn't know if there was really a difference in
Sure.
terms of which one you should be using here.
I think there is no difference here. Here's why I think, because the get last key press will always give you the last key pressed, and there will not be a situation in which 2 of these are pressed at the same time. Because in some cases, for instance, you could have a game where 2 keys are pressed at the same time, and you have to for instance, move diagonally. And in this specific module, that would not work because, as far as I understand, get last key press does not support multiple key presses. So it only remembers the last one pressed. So you physically cannot press 2 keys at the same time. There is still an order. Python will first see one key and then see another key, and the last one is going to be the one it's working on. But for instance, in Pygame, you can actually hold 2 keys at the same time, and in that specific instance, you have to check all 4. Because, for instance, you could get a direction which looks like this. It could look like this, and it would mean that it's moving diagonally.
Diagonal.
Yes, but in this specific game, the snake does not move diagonally, and there is no way to check for multiple key presses at the same time. So you're absolutely correct. If I do elif here, nothing is going to change. I would say even more, this will probably make it a bit quicker, because if the key is arrow left, the other 3 will not be checked. So it sort of saves a bit on machine time. So your question is, okay, Jake, you're writing if you add get new key presses. Okay, so it does work here. I did not go too deeply into the module. So in this specific one, it seems you can get multiple key presses. So in this case, yes, if you did want, for instance, to do diagonal direction, you would need to have if. But it's not. Yes, I agree. It's not necessary for this game. About else. Else does not work here, because else would be every other situation. So for instance, if you're not pressing left, you're not pressing right, you're not pressing down, up, it would mean that you're pressing down, even if you're not. So you cannot use else here. You must check for this specific condition, because otherwise, if you're not pressing anything, that would be considered an else, and you would also then always go down unless you're pressing something else. So else, I don't think else would work here, unless I'm wrong. But let me check this just for fun. Okay, you see, I'm trying sort of to, but when I let go of the keyboard, it goes down. So as long as I'm not pressing, this is what else does. So we cannot have else here. I hope it's clear why. So shall we do milestone 4? I think, unless someone has questions. Let me meanwhile read. So when the player goes out of bounds, the game is over. So here what we could do, we could get the coordinates of our object and see whether it goes past the 4 borders, the top one, bottom one, left one, and right one. And if it does, we then need to end the game. Is there a difference between move and move to methods? Yes, there is a difference between these 2 methods, and the difference is the following. With move, move is a relative method. So it says move to the left relevant to the current position, move up relevant to the current position, move left, move down relevant to the current position. So it says move 20 left, move 20 right. When you use move to, you give the specific coordinates to which you want to go. So it's like move to coordinates 120, 140. So the difference is whether the value is relative or absolute. Does that make sense? Do you understand the difference? It's like either telling, go 90 steps ahead, then turn right and move 30 more steps, or you say go to coordinates 120, 140. So there are 2 different ways of moving something on the canvas. Okay, good. So now we need to set up a number of conditions to check whether the object is going out of bounds. and we need to include a condition to actually end the game. So any ideas on how we could do that?
So at first I didn't understand the sort of instruction, but it seems like, okay, when I first read it, right, I thought as long as the player overlaps with the goal square, that would, oh, no. Sorry,
No,
sorry.
we're talking about the fourth one.
Sorry. Okay. Yes. Basically, if you hit the wall, like any 4 walls, the game ends.
Yeah. But my question is, how do we, in terms of, for instance, we could do a break statement, like Liza is writing, but I honestly, and many programmers do not like break statements because they think of them as sort of shortcuts which make reading code written by someone else a bit harder. So the better way is to actually have a condition inside your while loop, which will make the loop stop if if something happens. Yeah, exactly, Jake. So if we change the while true to some Boolean variable, so in our case, for instance, we could call it collision. Collision, and initially collision will be false. And here we'll say while not collision. So while there is no collision, please do all of this. So now the second part, which Vicky, you wrote, is the idea that after we move, we'll check the coordinates of the player. So we can get the X and the Y. I'm not sure whether you know this and whether this has been discussed. You can do multiple variables in one line. I'm going to do it here. So get left X of player and canvas get top Y of player. So we now have the player coordinates, and then we can write a compound condition. So the first condition written correctly, if X is less than 0 or Y is less than 0. So this means that either the player went to the left, across the left border, or across the top border. Or the second one, if X is more than, and here it's not just canvas width or canvas height. You need to take canvas width and subtract the size. So because if we just do canvas width, the game over will happen when the entirety of the block leaves the canvas. But in our case, the game should stop as soon as the bottom part of the player block collides with the border. So here it's if X is more than canvas width minus size, or Y is more than canvas height minus size. If any of these 4 conditions is true, that's why it's or, we just need one, we will change our collision to true. And that will stop the loop. And of course, we can write something here like game over in the terminal. So 1 second, change the while true to a Boolean variable. What that will kill you as soon as you touch the wall, and that's not what you want. No, I actually think that's what we want. We want to be killed as soon as we touch the wall. I think that's the logic. Let's see. So in this one, you see I'm touching the wall, but I'm not dying. I can even go to the corner and I'm still not gonna die. So it actually has like 1/10 of a second after I touch the wall, and then like boom, here it's game over. So I can move next to the wall. The way she wrote it, the snake won't be able to move in the first and the last columns at all. let me check. Oh, okay, okay. It will be able to move near the left and the top, but no, now I understand. I think I understand what Vicky did. Vicky, oh, you added size here. Okay, now I see. So you did it correctly. You did it the same way I did it, just adding size instead of subtracting size. So yeah, I missed that. But I do agree that the equal sign will end the game then as soon as you are in the rightmost column or the bottommost row. You will never be able to move across them. So in your case, you would not be able, oh no, one more time. You would not be able to do this or this, because as soon as it's here, it will stop, I believe. I don't think it's the same for top and bottom. It will only be for right and bottom. This will work for the top and the left because there is no equal sign here. So I think, let me check all four sides. So if I go up, it's game over. If I go left, it's game over. If I go right, it's game over. And if I go down, it's also game over. So I think we're done with milestone 4. I remember some of you wrote that you're not sure about milestone 4. Do you now understand the logic, or maybe do you still have some questions? Jennifer, yeah, I see you need to get going. No problem. See you next time. See you in a week. And let's now take a look at milestone 5, the last one. But do ask your questions. If you have questions, write them in the chat or ask them via voice. So number 5, when the player hits the goal, we should randomly move the goal to a new location. Well, first of all, I prefer to make the first location random and not the one we have right now. So here it would probably be a good place to write a helper function, which would just generate for us a new location on the canvas. Let's call it get random location. And since the canvas width and height and the size are constants, we don't need to pass them in. We can do this one without any parameters. So we already have random imported. So Mika, see you next time as well. Thank you. So how can we get a new random location each time we call this function? Help me out here. Okay, Eliza,
there's a question.
Yeah, I see, Eliza, I see your question. Let me take a look. You did not understand why we need to do canvas width minus size and canvas height minus size in the if statement. Sure. This can be done because Vicky did it in a differently, and it's also a very valid way. But the idea is, if you remove size, if you do it like this, then you will get game over only when the top of your player square is at the bottom coordinate. So that means that the entire square is already past the bottom, or in this case, it will be past the right side of the screen, because remember, X and Y are the top left coordinates. So if you want to take into account the entire size of the player block of our baby snake, you actually have to subtract size here in order for the game to end when the X and Y is like 20 pixels away from the right border or 20 pixels away from the bottom border. So when the bottom part or the right part of the player object touches the border itself. Does that make any sense? Does that make it clearer? Because the other way, I think this is maybe even clearer, because this means like the right side and this means the bottom. So I think the way Vicky did it is actually more logical. It's a bit easier to read, but like I said, every programmer has his own, bugs. Okay, Richard, so I see your answer to the previous question of how we get the random location. So we can do X. Okay, excellent, Eliza, excellent. So X is rand int from 0 to width minus size, yes. And the same for Y. Min, I'm not sure, you're saying you got them the other way around. Did I, which part do you mean?
It's when you were explaining the X and Y. If you have X more than canvas width, you were saying that it's when you're at the bottom row and you're past the bottom row, which is obviously for the right wall, and the Y is for the bottom.
Sure, yeah, I could have mixed them up. Like I said, already midnight here, so yeah, but thanks for pointing it out. Yeah, obviously X is for left, right, and Y is for up, down. So, and we get the same one here just with height, Y height for size. And now we need to return these two coordinates, and you can actually return multiple. I don't remember whether this has been discussed in CIP or not, but you can return multiple values from a function if you do it like this. Sorry. Okay. It will return a data type which is called a tuple. A tuple is basically like a list that you cannot change. It's an immutable list. It's the same as doing it like this, but you do not actually need the tuple syntax here. It will return a tuple automatically. So each time we call this function now, we will get two new coordinates for our goal. And now we can actually...
Question, Alex, maybe you're going to handle this later, but in the instructions for the task, they want there to be a limitation with the random numbers chosen for X and Y, so that it's always a multiple of 20. So
right, thank you. Yeah,
now.
I forgot about that. Thank you for pointing that out. Exactly, right. We need for it to be a multiple. So any idea of how we could do this, make this multiple? How we can make sure that it's a multiple of 20?
Well, so basically you take those two random integer generated XY, and then you basically do the percentage sign, which is like a division, and then it will return the remainder. There's a function in Python that would help you do that. And then if the you basically divide it by 20, and then if the remainder is 0, it's a multiple of 20. And then you would write a while loop that would keep on generating random numbers until that condition.
Okay, got it. That's actually an interesting idea, but there is an easier mathematical way.
Floor division and multiply by 20.
Exactly. So what you could do, you could actually do the integer division and then multiply back by 20. So this way you would get rid of the remainder. And so for instance, if the number generated was 110, you would get 5, and then multiplied by 20 you would get 100. But yes, thank you for the reminder, because I forgot about that should be a multiple, because we have the pixel size, and of course it shouldn't be 20 here, it should be size multiplied by size divided by size. Like this, and this will give us the a very specific multiple. So now it just takes practice. I mean, the first time I tried doing this, I would have probably done it the way you proposed. You know, going in a circle, in a loop until I get a number which is divisible by 20, and it's actually
It works.
It would work. Sorry?
It worked though.
It would work, because getting a number, you know, you would need on average like 20 cycles to get such a number, and for a computer that's a very low number of actions, so it would work. You wouldn't even notice that it's slower, so it works, sure. So now here we would just need to call our get random location.
Alex, I have one more question for you. Something I ran into in doing various iterations of trying to solve this was there seems to be a difference about where you put, or it seems to be non-trivial about where you put the helper functions, where you put them above or below the main function. And that confused me because I got an error in something I tried to do. God help me, I can't remember what it was, but it got solved by putting the helper function above the main function. And that kind of puzzled me.
Actually, what the situation in which you would get an error if your function is below this part.
No, it wasn't.
Then that's strange, because that should not be the case. I mean, because the logic is that you first read all the definitions, and only then you start executing those functions. So
maybe had it inside of main.
That's could it have been like one function defined inside the other function, or was it clearly separate?
You know what? I cannot recall. I just simply cannot recall.
Because I mean, in this case, it does not matter whether this is here or whether this is here.
Yeah, that's been my entire experience. And so when that happened, because I can't reconstruct exactly what I did, I unfortunately can't say more to be hopeful.
Anna, you're saying that in Carol we put helper functions in main. We actually did not. I mean, if it wouldn't be correct to do it that way. I mean, if you're talking about the definitions, the definition of the helper functions was on the same indent level as the definition of main. The order does not matter. You can do it before main, you can do it after main. The only important thing is to do it before actually calling main. But otherwise, it shouldn't matter. But you know, I'm not familiar with the ins and outs of this specific IDE. Maybe there are some specifics in this code in place IDE that we're not aware of. But let's see. Let's check whether this works or not. So here, when we set the goal, I will get the x and y coordinates from our function, which I already forgot. It's called get random location. Okay, get random location. And now here it's going to be x, y, x plus size, y plus y, small y plus size is, I think this is the way it's supposed to be. And now let's see whether it actually works. No, it doesn't. Canvas, create rectangle. Okay, did I miss an E somewhere?
Spelling somewhere.
Rectangle, there we go. Yeah, I deleted it by mistake. Okay. So it does seem to give us random locations. It does not seem to be going out of bounds. It does seem to favor the top, or maybe that's just my bias. No, it seems to be working. At least it looks random. I mean, you can never be sure whether something is random or not, but it does look to seem quite random.
Well,
so,
Alex, question in how your brain is working right now. Ultimately, I think the instructions are that you only generate a random location of the goal if the snake actually eats the goal.
Sure, sure. I was right now. I was checking. This is like the first location, and I thought it would be strange even for the first location to be set at 360, 360. So I made it random. I'm not sure whether the checker will let this pass, but I think in terms of a real game, this would be more logical than setting the first one specifically, you know. So that was my thought process.
Yeah, I partly got tripped up in knowing exactly how this version of the game is supposed to work. What I got from the instructions was that only if the player hits the goal do you then generate, okay, a random location for the goal.
Sure.
And then it needs to start going again from the upper left corner where the player is, and then you keep going. But that was my understanding, and I got a little bit tripped up maybe, and maybe my
you're saying that the player gets back to his original position.
That's what I thought they wanted us to do.
Oh, I don't think that's did they? You should randomly move the goal.
I got tripped up because I thought that's what I had to do.
I don't think it says anywhere that you actually have to move the player.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I think that's that's not the case. You have to move the goal, but the player stays where he is, like in a regular snake game.
So I think I set up milestone 6.
There is a milestone 6?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay, sorry. Like I said, it's already past midnight here, so yeah, and I'm off a flight, so I'm a bit woo. But yeah, so let's try doing the collision check before we actually start, you know, changing the location of our goal. How can we do the collision check? So first, for instance, we check whether, you know, a wall is hit or not, and after that, if not, then we need to see whether our snake reached the goal.
So Alex, the way I did that, okay, I remember from Marin's lecture where he said at one point, here's something that might be useful to you in the future. Okay. He introduced a function called results equal canvas dot find overlapping. So you could like do that for the player, which is what I did. Okay. And that will generate a list of the shapes that are overlapping with the player in addition to the player. Okay. And if you do that, then you can track once the goal is within the player rectangle, and that means that the snake is eating the goal.
Okay, so the idea is that you constantly check, get a list of sort of intersecting objects, and in our case, if the length of that list is 1 as opposed to 0, that means that the player found the goal.
That
to
would
understand
be the way I actually did it was because I was curious how it happened. I printed everything out so I could see everything happening from step to step to step, and I found out that the way our IDE does it anyway is that it prints out for the results of that function shape 0, shape 1, and if there were more shapes, it would go on and on and on. So it shows shape 0, shape 0, shape 0 until the player overlaps the goal. Then it shows shape 1. So then I could write an if statement, like if the element of the list were shape 1, I knew the goal was reached.
Okay, interesting. Because I don't think I've seen that method, but we could try it. Because Leah, I see what you're writing, and your proposal is, of course, I mean that's the one that comes to mind if you do not know about the method that we're just discussing. So you check the x coordinate of the player and compare it to the x coordinate of the goal, and do the same with the y coordinate of the player and the goal. And if both are the same, that means that their coordinates intersect completely. That means that the player is on top of the goal. But now my interest is piqued, and I want to. Is that function actually in the docs? That method?
No, it is not.
Ah, okay.
So I remember Baron having said it. Okay, so I went back.
Hold on. Here, is this like the one find overlapping?
Oh, that's it. That's it. That's it. Sorry, it is there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so returns a list of objects which overlap with the rectangular region defined by. Okay. So the idea is that if you set this region to the coordinates of the player, it will only show you the player itself if it's not over the goal, but it should show you both the player and the goal if they are intersecting.
Right. The instant it overlaps, it shows within the list. If you print out the list, it shows shape 1. So it's shape 0, shape 0, shape 0 everywhere until it hits the goal.
Okay, I want to check this out. I mean, I'm now this now. Like I said, I probably won't be able to sleep until we try this, especially since Vicky wrote that she tried this one
yes, I can paste my code, and then it was commented out. You could just remove the comment. Basically, you know, I tried that, and then it created like a mess, and then I wasn't sure why it created a mess. But if you look at the code, right, like basically I did use Canvas find overlapping, and then since that returns a function, well, no, since that returns a list, right? Basically, if the len of that list is greater than 0, you know there's overlap, right?
Okay.
So but it didn't work.
The way I did
Okay,
it,
well,
pretty straightforward. You define a variable, you can call it whatever, results object equal to canvas.find overlapping, and then the dimensions of the player. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did. And then I call that variable overlap.
And then Alex, and then if you do a print on the name of the object, which I called results, you'll see if you go through how it's going to print out shape 0, shape 0, shape 0. Okay. And then when it overlaps, okay, then you've got it. And then I said goal shape equals shape 1. If goal shape in results, then I go forward with the snake has eaten food.
Okay, let me try. So we're doing, okay, we have shape 0, and that's probably the snake itself.
That's right. That's right.
So here, I can see it goes shape 1.
Got it.
So basically then if the length is 2, then that means that we found the goal.
Yeah, I didn't do it that way, but that would be right. That
okay. So let's try if len of this thingy is, we could say more than 1. Then
why would it be more than 1? I mean,
I'm thinking maybe at some point in time I want to make a game with multiple goals.
Well, then you make it equal to or greater than 1.
No, because 1 is just the snake.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Sorry.
We need more than 1, at least 2 or maybe more.
Sorry,
If two goals overlap. I would probably not do it possible, not make it impossible for 2 goals to overlap, but still.
So I'm a little confused. Why is it not just greater than 0? Because if the goal sits there, okay, you wouldn't have any overlap, right? And then the only thing that could overlap it is the player.
Exactly.
Right.
So you see the player, and player is length 1, so you have a list of length 1, the player itself.
Right. So my question is that statement, if len, parentheses, why wouldn't that be greater than 0? because if there's no overlap, right, you would have an empty list.
You always had
No, the idea is that you check overlap of a specific region with objects. So you're taking a arbitrary region, and in our case, this arbitrary region has the same coordinates as the player object, but those are two different coordinates. We're saying, please check how many objects are in the region defined by the coordinates of the player
I
object.
see. Okay.
And the player
so
object is the
there will
first
always
one.
be one object in there.
Exactly, because the player object is always there.
Got it.
And so that the goal would be the second one. And in case this happens, we're going to do two things. We're going to increase the score. Let's do a, somewhere here, let's do a score, which will be 0. We'll, for instance, increase the score by 1, and we'll actually print the new score. Say something like score, score. And then we will need to move our goal to a new place. So we would have to do like canvas, and here we will do move to. Canvas move to, we're gonna move the goal, and we're gonna call this function to return 2 coordinates. And I think yeah, I'm a bit slow, sorry. What's it called again? It's called get random location. I wonder whether this will work. Should work, but no guarantees. Let's check. Nope. Okay, just let me try. Just don't ask questions right now. Let me try this and see if it works. Yeah, it works. Okay, so to give you an explanation, remember that our get random location returns a tuple, or in our case, a list. I don't remember, a tuple, yeah, of two values, and the asterisk operator is something which takes a sequence, for instance, a tuple, and breaks it down into comma separated values of that sequence. So this means that take whatever values are in here and put them here, like 2 values separated by a comma, which is something what the move to method requires. So basically this.
Explain that again, Alex, because I'm not understanding it. That's a new thing. And
it is a new thing. Yeah, that's why. So basically, if we leave it like this, this function would return a tuple, which would look like this.
Okay.
And this will be an error because move2 expects 3 arguments. But it's actually getting only 2 arguments. This is the first argument, and this is the second argument. So it gives a mistake. It says, you're giving me 2 arguments, but I require 3 arguments.
Okay.
So what I could do, I could actually put a this asterisk operator before this function. And when this function returns this, it would then, using what this operator does in front, if it's a unary operator in front, it will actually break this into several values. So this will not be 1 tuple. This will be 2 comma separated values. So it will actually turn it into this.
Is that asterisk thing anywhere in the course? Is it written anywhere, or?
I don't think so. I mean, if we were to do this without the asterisk thing, I would simply do this. I would do this, and then I would do this. Okay. And it will give you the same result.
Okay.
But I just tried it to see if it works. It was not in the course, but I mean, we're here anyway to learn new things.
Yeah.
So that was the reason. Remember that you can use, for instance, you can do the same with print. you could send a, let me give you just some example. For instance, with a game over, I'll give you an example. For instance, I will have a list of text, like one.
So is it an operator like all those plus, minus, and things?
Yes, it's also an operator. It's a unary operator, meaning that it takes only one operand, like, you know, like a unary minus, like -1. The minus is a unary minus. It's the same thing. It's just not a mathematic one.
And what does it do?
It takes a sequence, for instance, a list, a tuple, a dictionary, whatever, like any sequence, and it turns that sequence into comma-separated values.
Oh, okay. So always see comma-separated values, not any other way.
Yeah. So you will see the difference right now when I die. Will I? No, not yet. Give me a second. There's an extra parenthesis here. So for instance, if I do this, so this is the way that the list is printed. And this is the way that it's printed with the asterisk, because now it sees this as 1, 2, 3, here. And it prints this as 3 arguments instead of 1 argument. Do you understand the difference?
Yep. Got it.
I mean, yes, Svetlana, you're saying unpacking tuples, but this is not specifically for tuples. It's for any sequence, so it works the same way with the lists as well, which were covered in CIP. And like I said, tuples are explained in one sentence. A tuple is an immutable list. It's a list, the values of which you cannot change. So there you go. I remember Vicky was saying, well, tuples, we need to talk about tuples. Vicky, that's all you need to know about tuples. Tuples are like lists which you cannot change.
I didn't follow that at all, but that's okay.
Okay. So, do we, going back to our final milestone here, moving the goal, I think we reached, that goal. So basically right now, when we eat something, it says score 1, score 2, score 3, score 4, score 5. So it seems to be working.
So why don't you add something else? Like, how about the score, like the number of hits minus the number of misses?
When you say misses, what do you mean by miss?
Well, like what if I guess it would only occur if the player goes out of bounds. So you could potentially track that and like have a score of, you got so many right out of so many tries. Now, the instructions are not asking for that.
Sure. Yeah, I understand. So you're proposing, instead of it being game over, you sort of start over and your death is kind of calculated and variable.
Yeah, you sort of add a session, and within that there are games. And
right.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just kind of curious if that was possible.
Sure, it's possible, of course. The only problem is since we're working right now with the canvas here, is that how would you do? Well, no, I don't think it would be impossible. Let's say, for instance, here inside main, these are the canvas. You only need to obviously create it once. And somewhere here, you would say while true. Here you would have like deaths. Let's call it deaths, or collisions. Collisions, can we call it collisions? Yes, I think we can. Collisions equals 0. And here you would say while true, do all of this. And the idea is that as soon as you get a collision, you are out of this one. So we will here say collisions plus equals 1. And here we could do score this collisions this. And then I hope, let's try running this. So score 1 collision 0, score 2 collision 0, score 3 collision 0. But now we have an interesting thing. We actually have 2 objects, and this one is not disappearing. Okay, now I can eat it forever. Okay, so this is a bug that we need to figure out. But you sort of see the idea, right? The only thing is that the score resets. If we don't want the score to reset, we need to do it here, 0 instead of here. So that the score is also outside, the initial score is outside this loop. And the only question is why does it stay? Oh, okay, it's quite logical, because I think this also has to be done here, and here we just probably need to move the player. Let's do canvas move to player, well, let's say 0, 0. No, you don't like something? Canvas, of course, yeah. I need to switch places. Still no? Why not? Reference before assignment, which is also quite logical. Okay, let's see this one more time. So that's 2, score 3. There we go. That's collision. You see now, I calculate the collisions and the score, and you could basically, subtract one from the other to get sort of the final score. For the moment, I'm keeping them separate, but you can always do this. So does this?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Putting the score on the canvas. We could probably put the score on the canvas. I do not remember immediately how text is printed. Text drawn at canvas, create text. Yeah, sure. Let's. My first text. Yeah, let's try doing it as well. So where are we? My only question is, will this be renewed each time? I don't remember. We'll just probably have to try it and find out. Oh, it will be overwritten in the sense that we'll have one over the other over the third one, or will the old one be removed and the new one printed? Okay, so we'd need to delete it and create it again. Okay. So we'll take this. We'll probably need to write it here once. So score text equals canvas create text. Let's do it. Well, let's do it in the, for now, 0, 0. And the text is going to be this one. I hope it takes it like this. Let's see. Okay. And now we need to change it every time that we first need to delete it, and then we need to change it every time we change the score. For instance, here. So how do we delete? I remember there was something for deletion. How are we able to delete stuff? Is it in modify? Yeah, okay, canvas delete object ID. So it's canvas delete score text, and then when you do the new one, and we do the same when we are dead. Somewhere here, I guess. Let's see. There we go. That wasn't that hard, actually. For some reason, I thought it would be harder. But yeah, now we have both the score and the collision. And of course, we can change the font. We can change the size of the font. I'm not going to go into that right now. I'm sure you get the gist. All right, so there we go. We can also, what was the other extension? We could do get faster each time the player touches the goal. So here the idea would be that we have the initial delay, but then we do, for instance, each time here when we start again, we create like delay equal to the constant, but then each time we get score, we would also decrease the delay. So for instance, we could multiply it by, I don't know, 0.95, and the delay would get smaller and smaller and smaller. So let's see whether that works, whether it's actually going to become faster with time. I don't really see the difference for now, or maybe I do. Is it going faster, or do I just wish that it was faster? I don't know. Of course not. Of course it's not doing anything faster for the simple reason that I didn't change this one. You did it for walls, not goal. Did I? I did it for walls, not goal. Okay, yes, thank you. I actually did, yeah. Let's try doing this a bit. Okay, yeah, now I see that it's getting faster. Now it's more noticeable. Okay, I think this should be enough for today. I'm already at like, whew. Yeah, and we're back to normal speed. All right, so I see the question, can we ask for the code of the game maybe sent via email after this session? I was planning to obviously post this code to the section. That would be a lot easier than having, you know, Vicky send it to everyone. I would not want Vicky to go through that and message everyone with the code. So please do join the section. I will post this in the section, this code, and you'd be able to get it there. And homework for the next session is the next topic. I don't remember right now what the next topic is, but looking at the next topic, solving the problems for the next topic, let me quickly take a look. So the next one is information flow. So here we have FizzBuzz and Breakout. Yeah, I remember FizzBuzz, and Breakout is actually, yeah, it takes some time to program, I guess. How to join section, Anna, in order to join section, you need to email Vicky saying that you explicitly want to be moved from your current section to my section. That's what you need to do. We agreed that we do this until the end of Monday. So Vicky's waiting for emails on the subject until the end of Monday. And on Monday, she's going to send everyone to Cameron, all emails to Cameron, so that Cameron can move people from their current sections to my section. Given Scott, given the amount of people who said that they're interested in a WhatsApp group, I'm not sure that it's a viable option. Like, it was only like about a third of the people, so probably not. Probably not. I will probably stick to the section. Okay, I'm just reading. Vicky sent me a message. She had to leave for a different meeting because we've already been at this for 2 hours. So that's that. Thank you all for joining in today, and I look forward to seeing you again in a week. Like I said, take a look at the next lesson, which is information flow. Take a look at the two problems which are after that, because that's what we're gonna overview, and we'll discuss the lessons after that, because I see we have like strings, libraries with like the internet. I have not gone over those lessons. I have no clue what the content is, but we'll figure it out once we get there. So yeah, thanks a lot, and you are most welcome.
Alex,
yeah.
Sorry to disturb. Is it possible for you to send the recording? Because I was in the transit and lost so many things. It's going to be helpful if you can send the recording. I'm sorry if I ask a wrong question.
That's actually a question which I will have, because it's not my Zoom, it's Vicky's Zoom. She was planning to share the recording somehow, but I unfortunately don't know how she was planning to do it logistically. I will obviously discuss this with her, and I'll ask her. She'll probably put it on somewhere on Google, on the Google Drive, and share the link to the video recording.
Thank you very much.
All right, no problem. All right, so then I think we are done for today, and I will see you next week. And as soon as we do the section join and you're able to post in my section, feel free to write any questions that you have. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. I usually go to Code in Place a couple of times a day to see whether there are any questions, so I'll do that. Jake, you're asking, you're working with Pygame. What I mean when I say working with Pygame, I am in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be doing a 10-day intensive workshop for teenagers here in Yerevan at a place called TUMO Center for Creative Technology, and I'm actually putting together, like presentations and problems, etc., for them. So that's what I'm working on right now, actually, with Pygame. But I mean, I can show you some stuff which I've done with Pygame. Just give me a second. Maybe I'll open something quickly. What was the last thing I was doing? I think I was doing tic-tac-toe with the artificial intelligence and some graphics. Let me see if it launches. I was just doing it for fun. Oh, it actually has music in it. Just give me a second. I will actually even share the sound. Okay, so can you see my screen right now? Okay, so basically this is like tic-tac-toe. You can select whether it's human versus human, or you can have weak AI, which just makes random moves. You can have strong AI, which actually makes the best moves. So if you pin two strong AIs against each other, they will always draw. And you have have this like silly animation, and they're just playing each other. And not surprisingly, it's a draw, but then you can turn the music off and on, you can turn the sounds off and on, and like a weak AI against strong AI, and the second one's probably going to win. Okay. See, did not quite work out. Let's try again. There we go. Strong AI wins. Whee! And of course you can. So that's that, no problem. And yeah, I'm off to bed, guys and girls. It was great, but yeah, I need to get my beauty sleep because I just flew in back to Yerevan today, and I'm already a bit sleepy. So see ya, and until next Friday, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.